Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Chat with Lindsay and Neely.
Hey y'all, I have coffee today.
You do?
And look, my mug looks so cute with my whole
Oh my
ensemble today. I'm here
gosh.
for
The
I
whole thing
know.
with the glasses and
I
it's
know it's
adorable.
all blues, but it's not too blue. Because I'm blue. If I was green, I would die. That's
But
actually
green
not
is
what
the
those
best
words are.
color. Huh?
Green literally is. I met someone new, a husband and a wife, and I had asked the question. This was on Saturday. I was like, you know how I feel like we never really get back to like those childhood style friendships. It's more of like everybody's kind of like on this we're grown up surface level. No. If you become my friend, that is not where we are. I
What's
so
your favorite dinosaur?
I should have asked that second, but I got cut off.
I already know your favorite dinosaur, so we're already at that level.
I mean, it's so obvious. But no, I asked her, "What's your favorite color?" And she said green, and I was like, "Mine too. Why? Why is your favorite color green?" And then that's whenever somebody else interjected, and I never got a response to it because I mean that kind of matters a little bit to me. Like, why is green your favorite color? Like, obviously it's the best color, but why
Yeah,
is it the best color to you? That way,
right.
I have a better understanding of who you are.
Yeah,
Also, which all the greens. There's so many.
sure. Yeah, I learn a lot about people by how much they align with what is correct.
That's true. That's
So
true.
it's like, I'm not saying what is the best color. I already
Yeah.
know that. I want to
Right.
know what you
What?
think the best color is so I can judge you as a human being clearly.
Welcome to live chat, coffee chat with Neely and Lindsay, where you will learn all things correct
Yes.
and you will learn how to align yourself with our correctness.
Yes.
But it's not actually our correctness, it's just the correctness that we have already aligned ourselves to.
Yes. I mean, it's not us. It's, the standard outside of us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're looking all cute and adorable today, and I am in my sweats and feeling pretty frumpy because
Yeah.
I was up with a sick child last night, so I didn't get as much sleep as I would prefer. Although
Hey,
the
but
sleep
your
I did,
eyes do not tell that tale,
well,
okay?
thank you.
They do not look baggy or dark. You've been blessed with some good under eye jeans.
There you go. Yeah, well, it was, one of those accidental egg situations with our
Oh, that
our
gets
egg
to this.
sensitive child. And so we were up a little bit late, but the sleep that I did get was pretty good. So I'm happy about that. But I
Yeah.
am just embracing the blah and
No, it's the
I
comfort. You're embracing
okay,
the comfort.
the comfort.
And if I could interject a little bit more, you are prepared in case there's an opportunity for an impromptu nap. You're
Yes,
prepared. You're
always.
prepared. Mm-hmm.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I was when the countdown was going, I went to like take a sip of my coffee and I was like, if I take a sip of my coffee, I won't have any coffee left for coffee.
Oh, what happens if we give two thumbs down? Yeah.
Oh, we haven't seen that one before. That was cute.
Don't you rain on my parade coffee cup.
No,
I am
well,
teed up this afternoon, y'all. I mean, it might be morning for you wherever you are, but it is afternoon for me, and I am just like, whoa! So I'm gonna have to bring it down a notch. And this is decaf coffee. This
oh
is
my
this
goodness.
is decaf. I
Oh
just
dear. Well, I was realizing, after I was noticing how close I was to the end of my coffee, last week was the same thing where I had finished my coffee before we even started. And I'm realizing it is because I have been waking up earlier consistently recently. I think maybe
okay.
in rhythm is, I don't know, doing whatever it
Shifted.
does. My sleep is really good, but I wake up at like 5:30 and I'm ready to, be alive. I'm like, this must be what Lindsay feels like every
All the
day.
time.
But then the problem is that my second cup of coffee comes a little bit earlier and I'm done with it by 10:05 a.m. when we're on the coffee chat. So it's just one of those weird things.
Provisions may need to be made to where you like make a hot water or a hot tea or a hot
Mm.
electrolytes between the two cups of coffee so that you can only on Wednesdays. Only on
I just
Wednesday.
can't drink anything besides coffee in the morning.
I mean, I
Like it's
feel that deep in my
wrong.
stomach. It is wrong. It is wrong.
Like, why did I even get out of bed if I'm not gonna
Right.
be drinking coffee?
For me, it's one of
Sounds
those
really bad.
it's a terrible thing if I forget to set the coffee maker beforehand so that when I wake up, it's like already doing its thing.
Yes. Yes.
So if we get home late from like evening activities or different, things happening, and I notice that the little blue lights on my coffee pot are not lit up, I think, no, I can't go to bed unless the coffee is set for
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yes. Priorities. It's called priorities.
And we are good at them.
All right. I wanted to say good morning to Patty. She gets the gold star for first in the chat this morning. And Dustin is here. He's missed the lives. Well, I'm glad that you're here.
We are glad that you're back. I noticed that you
Crystal,
hadn't been here a
hello.
couple times, but I figured you were probably busy doing the life things.
I mean, is there really anything more important than Wednesday coffee chat? Come on.
I mean, if he's taking care of his granddaughter, that might.
But she could enjoy the coffee chat too. I mean, coffee chat is for everyone.
Facts. All right, Justin, you got no excuse. Sorry, man.
Blaze is here. Good morning from Huntsville, Texas. It is mighty cold here too. I mean, not as cold as a lot of places in the country, but for us, it's frigid. I had to collect frozen eggs out of the I was going to say laying and nesting at the same time, and I said neighing. The nesting laying boxes. And that was very sad, although Izzy didn't mind frozen eggs for breakfast. So she got that. Beth is here. Good morning. Chris is here. He says, I am not a grown-up. I am not grown up, which does that need to be said? I think
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Yeah. Chris, what is your favorite color? Have we asked that? Do we know this? Seems like we should know this by now.
I think that his favorite color, it might be in the blue range of the spectrum.
I'm thinking teal. Or maybe that's Miriam's favorite color.
Yeah. I was also kind of feeling like he kind of seems like a guy who would lean toward orange, which is, the opposite color of blue. So they tend to complement one another.
Well, orange and blue together are quite striking. I like them both. Yeah. Speaking of orange and blue, you have that kind of on your shirt right now.
I mean, it's coral and yellow.
Well, yeah, but is that navy or black?
Navy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Navy and orange looks really good together.
It does.
Okay.
Hey, I gotta go grab my water cup real quick. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. Good morning, Beth. Jen, my favorite is green too. I knew I liked you. Dustin says I keep waiting to feel grown up. I'm guessing it'll never happen. Yeah, I feel the same way, especially now that I'm going to be a grandmother, or I am a grandmother. I was like, this is how being a grandmother feels. I feel the same as when I was 25.
I kind of feel like I'm still 12, or not 12, but 16-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
That feels like the right age range for me.
Yeah, I didn't realize that people just felt the same throughout their life. I thought, an old person
surely there would be a change.
Something totally different.
Yeah.
Still the same old things. Which is not so bad. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's
I was kind of a fun girl when I was like little, and when I was in adolescence and going through the puberties, I was probably less fun. But once I became like officially adult woman, I feel like I've stayed the same fun girl.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good. Low carb spin is here. Good morning. Risa is here. Hello all. Had to get my lunch, got coffee too. I'm here for 25 minutes. All right. Let's get all the good stuff in the first 25.
Make it a good 25 minutes.
Yep. T. Lewis, hello. Happy Wednesday. Anxious to experience this coffee chat. Ooh. Got some.
Sounds like
I hope that's a good anxious.
I hope we deliver.
Low carb.
I just like to hear me talk.
Right. Low carb spin has hot cocoa loco. That sounds delicious.
Delightful.
That's what Jeff had this morning. Well, I forget. He had one of the chocolate electrolytes this morning. That's his favorite this time of year. And he used to like make tea and doctor it all up with stuff. Now it's just straight electrolytes and hot water. Is where I mean,
I tell you what, y'all are, kind of dealing with the stuff and the things. And I'm sure everybody across the board is dealing with any of these like wintry head cold businesses or just like general malaise type things. My personal favorite to get through all of that stuff, like hot beverage wise, like I love my coffee, but I've learned that any of the citrusy flavored electrolytes as a hot tea kind of reminds me of like Theraflu from when I was younger. And
yes.
so like drinking those for some reason is like a comfort thing. So yesterday when I was sitting at home, I'm at home, when I was sitting on the couch, I was drinking some of my old citrus splash. I was like, oh,
Ah,
I know this was never like my top favorite, but oh, it's gonna be gone sometime soon. And then what? And then what?
and then something
Li-
else will fill your heart.
I
Um,
know. Well,
have
yeah.
you seen the new flavors of Relight that have come out recently?
I've
They
been
over
really out
the
of touch.
holidays over the holidays, they came out with cran apple
Oh
and
wow.
chocolate. So they came out like you can get a tub of chocolate electrolytes now.
A tub
A tub of chocolate electrolytes. Okay, so I have not tried the chocolate. I didn't order that one, but I did order the cran apple, and I tried it hot because I was like as soon as I tasted it, I was like, "Hot apple cider, of course, duh."
of
And
course.
so I tried it hot, and it was pretty good for a hot electrolyte that's not a chocolate flavor, because that's rare. We have a
Ooh,
lot of chocolate options when it comes to hot
we
electrolytes,
do.
but not a lot of non-chocolate unless you
Yeah.
do like a hot citrus or something, which you can do, of course. But the cran apple seemed like it would really lend itself to hot, and
And
it
I
did.
can imagine adding a splash, like a tiniest little teaspoon splash of apple cider vinegar to it for a little bit of a
A little
kick,
punch, yeah, that
a
would be
little
good.
punchy. They
Yeah,
have chocolate electrolytes in the tubs. I
yeah.
am my
It
my flabbers have been gasted.
yes. I think so it looked like there was some kind of a packaging change where the chocolate ones are in a
It looked like
pouch.
a bag,
It's in a pouch, but it is still, like, bulk, it's not in pack.
scoopable.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
see
I
that.
imagine the reason, and
Yeah.
I don't know this, I just imagine that it's because the chocolate would have more bulk to it because it has cocoa added or something. Maybe it didn't fit in the tub, I don't know. That's my imaginings for the chocolate because the other ones are still in tubs, as far as I know.
Possibly. I'm not quite sure the weight by volume or the weight of it is less than the flavored or the fruity flavors, but it's possible.
We talk good.
Listen, I just earlier today we were down in the schoolroom and I asked Caitlin, "Did you put your furniture in the dryer?"
I bet she will never let you live that down.
I haven't let me live that down. I'm like, this is where we are. This this is where we are, people. Have you put your
Oh, good.
furniture in the dryer today? Did you put your furniture in the wash and then turn around and
I'm gonna
forget to
have
put
to
it in the
remember to
dryer
do
so
that.
that it's moldy? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to remember to do that later.
I don't know. Maybe it is like the physical bulk of it, even though the
The
by
weight is
volume weight
yeah.
might be lower, like it might be floofier.
We'd have to ask the good Redmond people.
We would, we know them.
We do. Yeah, we've been there.
We have. So if you ever want to see those videos and you haven't yet, check out the May videos on each of
Yep.
our channels from last May 2024. You have to scroll a little ways, but
Yeah.
we had a
That was
blasty blast and
that
we
was
got to blow
a
things up.
fun
So that
day.
was cool.
That was a fun day. Um,
Mm.
Marisa says it's going to get to a high of 8 degrees in New Jersey. Yeah, we're not that cold here. Not that cold.
No,
Oh,
we are currently at 10 degrees. We started out at like -6 this morning when I woke up, and I was like, is that a negative sign? It
ugh.
is. That's interesting.
We are apparently we're at 37, but it feels
Don't
like
make me
33.
laugh.
So,
Oh, don't make me laugh at your warm spell.
Margaret says -8 here earlier. Whew.
Solid.
Yeah,
Solid.
let's
I
stay
like it.
indoors and drink hot electrolytes today. Reese's got her usual coffee, Nespresso with 1 scoop of keto brains and a cap full of daily minerals. That
We
is
love that for you.
that you can do a cap full of daily minerals in the coffees. Some people can, some people can't. It's like some people are so super sensitive to that mineral taste, and other people it's like, no big deal.
I find that to be true of a lot of things. People have like these different taste bud levels and stuff.
Yes,
So
it is true.
that's challenging.
Okay, Chris says, I tend to wear a lot of gray by default. I'm kind of ambivalent on colors. Blue is cool. Okay. All right. All
I
right.
mean, of course, blue is cool because it's a cool tone rather than.
Oh dear. Okay, Reese's favorite color has always been purple. Any tone of purple. Solid. I can see that. Knowing Risa, I can see purple being a favorite there.
Yeah, back in
It's one
Abilene,
of those
Texas.
personality things.
Abilene, Texas, probably like in the mid or the early mid 90s, there was actually a store that was entirely like it was called something like the Purple Store or something to that effect. Every item in that entire store was purple. It was like
Oh
Claire's mashed up with a Sanrio store, but everything in purple.
my god.
Um, and I
Intense.
used to want to live there.
Yes. Um let's see. My lady laughs a lot, says being a grandmother best. My daughter is 17 months old. Anyone more? Yeah. There's your own children there. Never loved anyone more than this child. Thanks a lot, Mom.
Yeah, yeah.
But I totally know what you mean. I can't wait. It's gonna be so exciting. um, Crystal says, "That's a big word. I don't know what ambivalent means." Chris with all the big words, his big brain always.
He gets paid by the syllable, so there's a lot of them. He's got a lot of
Oh,
money to eat at that house of his.
oh my goodness. Suzanne is here, busy at work, but finally here. Crystal had coffee with chocolate powder, daily minerals, sucralose, and a splash of vanilla extract.
Sounds like
Delicious.
a lovely mocha.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's see. Oh, mix cherry chill and lemon lime twist. I actually did that with my samples that I got, and it was good.
I feel like that would make a phenomenal slushy in the
Yes.
summertime.
Ooh,
That would be like when I would probably choose that.
yes, yes, yes. Okay. Risa has tried the cran apple relight. I've only had it cold so far and really like it. Not too cranberry to my taste buds. Yeah, it had a good appley taste. It wasn't like super sour apple or anything, but it was like that apple taste and then a little bit of fruitiness in there. I think it was really good. Because I don't know of any other apple electrolytes in the main brands that we use.
No, I don't know either.
A sour apple would be really good. I think, personally.
You're allowed to think that.
Sometimes people have different opinions on things. We've already been over this.
And just because they're wrong doesn't mean we don't love them.
Yes. Suzanne says she'll go over to the local grocery store Harmon's to see if they're carrying the new flavor
In the
stuff
Utah?
Light. Yeah, so I experienced Harmon's for the first time on our trip last year, and we actually have a video of us shopping together at Harmon's in real life. It was
That's
pretty
right,
great.
IRL.
Yeah, and it was really fun to see the Relight and Redmond stuff on the shelf. Well, I see Redmond stuff on the shelf here, like the salt,
Yeah.
but not Relight. I've never seen Relight on the shelf, so that was pretty cool.
I used to buy the toothpaste at a natural grocer up in Alaska and down in Lehigh as well, Lehigh, Utah. So that was always fun.
Yes.
Their little kids brand or their kid marketed version with like the lemon and
Yes. Yes. It's so good. Question from Low Carb Spin. Does drinking the electrolytes hot alter the benefits in any way?
it alters your happiness into more.
Which is a benefit. As far as like the electrolytes themselves, I can't imagine heat would change them. The only Go ahead. Go ahead.
I believe Chris Bear has said this, therefore check it against the internets. But it would have to be like thousands of degrees
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fahrenheit before it would actually deteriorate a mineral.
Yes. Yes. The only thing I
And
can think of is perhaps, like, breathing the steam would be good for your lungs, like, breathing
oh, for
salt
sure.
water, vapor is good for you, so, like, if you have a cold or
Seems
something, that's definitely a way to go. But as far as, like, the minerals themselves, I'm sure that they're
yeah, the mineral effectiveness probably isn't going to deteriorate at all.
probably would help the electrolytes dissolve faster if you have a type that takes a bit to dissolve.
Mhm,
That
mhm,
that's
mhm.
a bit. Okay, I do wanna get into our topic for the day because 'cause we're already 20 minutes in. Um, okay, Low Carb Spin says she needs our best muffin recipe using any keto chow flavor. Last night, live, Chris said blueberry. What should I try first?
I'm 100% in agreement with the blueberry, and then my second recommendation would probably be banana or the banana bread flavor
That's a good idea. Yeah. I
because
Go
yeah,
ahead.
the breadiness. We are so good at talking over one another. Look at us. Look at us. The banana bread flavor does add a little bit of a banana or bready kind of, ness to
Mhm.
it, which is great. You'd still want to probably bump up the banana part of it a little bit. But definitely blueberry all the way. And
Yeah.
if you can find the wild blueberries that are like, like the tiny little
Yes.
tiny blueberries to mix into it,
Yeah, or
clutch.
freeze-dried tiny
Ooh,
blueberries. I
freeze
have
dried tiny
those.
blueberries. Yes. The big blueberries are fine, but
Yeah. They're
not
so
as good.
fun when they're little and
Well,
tiny.
and better disbursement throughout the
True.
in distribution throughout the muffins.
Yes, and so you have a recipe for banana nut muffins, right?
Right. It's a versatile keto muffin recipe on my website, and I do the blueberry pie, keto chow with it, and then I also did banana with it, and I mixed in I can't remember if I did walnuts or if I did pecans. I think I did walnuts.
Okay.
Um or pecans.
It would be good with either one.
It's been a minute. It's been a hot minute since I've
Yeah.
done that video.
I
So
feel like I've done a muffin with keto chow before, but I can't for the life of me remember. I think it might have been a chocolate, maybe like a chocolate cupcake that
peanut
I did.
butter or something.
So I don't have a good, like, basic muffin recipe, but definitely, grab that one from
Ooh. You know what would be delightful is if you were to like be comfortable with cranberries in smaller quantities. If you were to create like a cranberry type of a glaze or use like the less sugar craisins or something like that and mix it with orange cream to make a cranberry orange muffin.
Ooh, yeah.
That would be, or get like a cranberry extract flavor oil or something. Um, Cran orange would be most delightful to try, I'm sure.
All right, I'm putting it in the chat, the link to your video.
Look at you on it.
Yes. Yes. That's got to be the one. Keto
Okay,
blueberry muffins, keto banana nut muffins, simple muffin recipe with keto chow.
that's the one.
Gotta be it.
Thanks,
Um,
Neely. Although now I'm gonna have to go try a cran orange one. Oh, can we do a callback to last week?
yes.
We talked about like possibly doing El Reuterai in the dehydrator, and I'd never done that before.
Yes.
An experiment in action. We have got it in the dehydrator. We will not know the results for a little bit, and
Mhm.
it probably won't get edited for a little bit. But
Okay.
I'm
Oh, I was gonna
filming
ask if you filmed it. So that's
I'm
awesome.
filming the excursion.
Good.
It's an adventure.
Good, good. All right. We should get into our topic for the day. What is our topic for the day, Lindsay?
We have talked a lot about how to make healthy affordable for the past several weeks. And we have talked a lot about the things that you can do in order to make a healthful lifestyle or a healthful diet more affordable and what kind of things we love and, are willing to, make sacrifices on and that sort of thing. But this week we wanted to talk a little bit about what are the things that are your I will not compromise items, like your I can't compromise on, the meatloaf. I will do anything for health, but I won't do that.
Yeah.
What items fall in that category for you that you must purchase and then sacrifice elsewhere in order to accommodate that into an affordable budget for yourself?
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, I think this is obvious and it'll probably be the same for both of us. Um, that
We have not discussed what it is, y'all, just so you know.
my number one is animal protein. Uh, it so I was thinking about it and thinking if we come up to a budget challenge and there are multiple ways to go about uh resolving things or making things cheaper. And one thing you could do is say, well, instead of meat, we're going to do rice and beans instead. Like replace meat with rice and beans because rice and beans are cheaper.
Right.
Or you can say, how can we make our meat cheaper? Because there's a whole spectrum of meats from hundreds and thousands of dollars down to not much. Um,
Yeah.
so it's like it's just thinking in a different category. So instead of thinking of replacing this expensiver thing, how can we make this expensiver thing cheaper? Um,
FYI, expensiver is a trademarked term, so make sure that you let Neely take the credit on that one.
yes, yes,
Just so you know.
it's my word. Um, yeah, so like that was the main thing I was thinking is even though I could, and I talked about this last week listening to someone talk about their diet and how, like, in my head, I was like, that's like pennies. They're eating, they're eating so cheaply every day because everything was white bread and rice and, some granola bar or whatever. And it's just like, man, our budget could be nothing. if
It
we
really
did
could. And
that.
our health bills might be a little bit higher.
Yeah. And so,
Our
and
happiness bills
again,
might be lower.
yeah. And then, like we talked about, in previous weeks, it goes back to what are your priorities? If your number one and only priority in life is to have things as cheap as possible, then of course you're going to go with the rice and beans dinner. Maybe become a freegan and dumpster dive. You know, do you? But we're all working with different priorities and different levels of each priority. And throughout your life, you're going to have different seasons where different things are more of a priority or not. And so for me, the number one is animal protein. So if that means that we're going to eat spam a few
Right
nights a
there.
week.
Oh, how did I get rid of that?
Uh-oh.
Okay. I thought I was clicking to get rid of it so we could keep moving forward.
Yeah. So if we have to eat spam a few times a week, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't ever use rice and beans, as a supplement to bulk up a meal, because maybe sometimes we can't just eat a pound of beef every night for dinner because that is expensive, even going to the cheapest option. But to have an adequate amount of animal protein every day would be probably my number one priority. And I even though I'm not a carnivore, I'm not even, keto anymore, I still would consider myself lower carb or moderate carb. But one thing that I definitely have taken from my time keto and carnivore and low carb is that I'm not as worried about getting a huge ton of vegetables every day for everybody. That's not even like ancestrally uh doable when you consider seasons. And so it's like we go through certain seasons where we eat a lot of vegetables because they're all in season and they're cheap and easy and they're coming out of the garden. And then there's other seasons where you're maybe eating a lot less, maybe eating more fermented vegetables, things like that. And so I'm not as concerned about getting 12 cups of leafy greens every single day for each person in the family as I used to be, because that's very expensive. I mean,
Well, especially
next level.
if you care about, like, they're above ground vegetables, so you're concerned about chemicals and pesticides and things. So you want to try to get something that is reducing and mitigating that exposure. And those are usually more expensive if they are of the organic non-GMO variety. So
Yes. So I do think that vegetables are a benefit to most people as long as you don't have some kind of digestive issue that causes issues. But if you're a pretty healthy, functioning person, having vegetables and plant foods are of benefit to a degree. And, but I will say that if we got to the point of saying we can either have the vegetables or we can have the meat, we can't have both. I'm going to go with the
choose
meat.
meat.
You know, and then when the vegetables become available again, then we go to the when people are trying to get rid of zucchinis at the end of the summer, then we'll get our vegetables in. But I'm
Yeah.
not as worried about the huge amount of vegetables every day as I am about getting adequate protein, animal protein every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am going to second that. If my budget was extremely specific, I would be setting aside money every single week or every month to buy either a half cow if that's all we could handle, or a whole cow, because that is a large chunk of money all as one lump sum. But then for me, the reassurance of knowing I always have ground beef, or I always have a roast, or I always have some liver, or some of those things that are so nourishing to our bodies and
Mhm.
so useful. I mean, the amount of waste that we have from animal protein is minimal by comparison to other food products. So
Mhm.
having a half or a whole cow in the freezer is something that I will make the conscious decision to say I'm not going to sacrifice on that. I am, however, going to sacrifice maybe on, if I whether or not I buy cabbages, or
Mhm.
whether or not I have almond flour in the pantry. Like, that's not a necessity thing for me. It's a desirable thing for me to have baking ingredients, but it's not necessary. So the whole or half cow in the freezer, I will make sacrifices so that that priority gets met. And then I had one other one, and that would be eggs. Um, Eggs are ridiculous right now. I mean, like, they ebb and flow, right?
Mhm.
They kind of go through seasons of valley prices and then peak prices, and they're on their way back up to the peak prices around here. But the quality eggs, I don't have chickens.
Mhm.
And my friends who have chickens, it is winter, so they are laying far less than they normally would, because they're not trying to proactively force the chickens to lay
Yes.
more. They're trying to let the, cycle be processed appropriately for the animal itself. And so having farm fresh eggs from a friend is very rare.
Mhm.
So I tend to spend more money on eggs at the grocery store, because I prefer to find those farms that seem like they are smaller farms that are using best practices. And that means that I'm paying for that. So for me, I won't compromise on my eggs if I can help it. If there are
Yeah.
complete shortages and there's no access to anything but just like your, bottom shelf, super cooped up, just
Yeah.
grain fed the whole time, never getting to eat a bug in its life kind of a thing, then I will buy what I have to buy. But if I can help it, I will not sacrifice on my eggs.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I find that there's a lot of, things that we eat for entertainment. I mean, it's just a fact. And,
Yes.
I am not a food is only fuel, you should treat your meals like you're filling up at the gas station type person. I
Right.
there's a lot of really, important things about food beyond just the nutrition that you get from it and that social, connection and
Yeah,
enjoyment.
that relational aspect is huge.
Yes, and, like, the feeling of security, I think, is a big one, and I think that's one thing that, um, a lot of people deal with when they go on a lot of diets that maybe they don't realize, like, when you restrict yourself to whatever, it doesn't even matter, it's just more of a mindset thing, it can make you feel like you're not secure, like you don't have your basic needs met, food, shelter, clothing, that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
that can really mess with your brain to do, certain survival instincts that you're just not really aware. And so people will find themselves binging on stuff or, transferring uh, to like shopping or whatever. And
Mhm.
so that I think that comes with like the restriction mindset. So um, yeah, so there's so much involved in food beyond just the nutrient numbers that you get from them. And so
Mhm.
there are definitely a lot of things that I eat for entertainment. Like Chris Bear says, he eats vegetables for entertainment, especially onions, garlic, asparagus, and Brussels sprouts.
Nom
And
nom nom.
that, those would be the first things to go, when um, the budget starts to get tight, and you do kind of have to start going towards what do I absolutely need for health, nutrition, survival, that kind of thing. And of course, there are ways to make those foods enjoyable, and you can still get, the pleasure and the social connection and stuff. You just maybe have to work a little bit harder. Uh,
Yeah.
and be okay with going without the other fun things for a little while. But when the budget gets tight, that's I mean, because you're going back to like your basic needs. And once we have our basic needs met, then we can spend time on all these other things that are fun. But
Yeah.
in a time when your budget is tight, I mean, it just makes sense that you're narrowing in on what are my basic needs, and number one on there is health and nutrition.
Yes.
Yes.
So we
Marie is
posed that
here listening
question.
at work. I just want to say hi to Marie.
So we want to pose that question to you. What is something that you will not compromise on when it comes to I have to have this budget? And for some people, the budget might be like I have all of my, grocery needs met, and then I've got my fun budget where I can buy some of the keto treats. And maybe there's one thing there that you're like, I can't live without the perfect keto strawberry MCT oil powder. Or, I mean, that's oddly specific. Or I can't live without keto chow blueberry pie, or I can't live without keto brick. What's their new flavor that they just pumped out that was sold out in 12
Primal
seconds?
Fudge.
Yeah, I can't live
Yeah, I
without
ordered
primal fudge.
some.
Did you?
I have 3
I
bricks and I haven't tasted them yet. They came yesterday.
ooh. Like it I want to allow there to be a lot of latitude here because I think that plenty of us here in this discussion today, we have our basic needs met. And then we have some pinch points in our budgets because, everything always seems to get more expensive the older we get.
Mhm.
And so it's one of those deals where it's like I can survive with this base level of everything and then this little fun thing if I can help it I want to always have this on hand.
Yeah.
So I just want to pose that question to y'all and allowing that latitude that some people buying eggs might be their hard stop and for others it could be their monthly subscription to the My Chow surprise kit.
Mhm, mhm.
I could drop my
Yeah,
pen.
yeah, I was thinking about electrolytes, because that
Oh,
can be a very
yeah.
big expense if you get the tasty ones that, are super enjoyable.
Right,
Um,
and convenient.
yes, and, so going back to what I was saying at the beginning is you could either, cut something out completely because it's expensive, or you can find a cheaper alternative in the same realm. And so, of course, if you're buying Element every month, maybe switching to Relight would be an option because you could get the tubs and they're a little cheaper, or
Right,
you can learn to make your own, which would be even more cheaper.
right,
And then, because and depending on your budget, you could cut them out completely and say, I just can't afford to buy, good salt and potassium and magnesium to put together to make my own electrolytes. And, depending on where you're at with your budget, that might be the right choice. And then, trying to focus on foods that would get you those things. But there's definitely within, the category of electrolytes, it's not like just electrolytes or not, it's what can you do within that category to make it as cheaply as possible. It could even be something like having your yummy flavored electrolytes that you like, but also having a homemade batch and, mixing them together so that it
Or,
ends up being, half as much that you spend on the flavored ones or, something like that. Okay.
or using homemade at home and packets
Yeah.
out and about kind of a thing, and
Yeah.
treating things like treats. But Marie brought up a great one. Would you like to read that one?
Marie says, "Gosh, my taste for butter has really changed since going keto. If I'm going to taste the butter in whatever I'm having, it has to be the Kirkland New Zealand butter or Kerrygold if I get it on sale." Yes.
A high quality, tasty butter. That's
Yeah.
clutch right there. I like that.
Yes. It's
Excellent,
funny,
excellent point.
butter is one thing that I will get like half and half regular butter and half the New Zealand butter or
Quality butter.
Kerrygold when it's on sale. And we try to use the good butter for what we're really going to taste the butter like if it's on vegetables or spread on, einkorn bread or whatever.
Yeah.
That's when we
Save
try
the
to use
plain
the good
butter for
butter.
other times.
And then, if the kids are gonna make cookies or something, then just use the the cheap butter. Don't use my fancy butter.
That's right.
But I had this thought when working through my all or nothing, perfect food or nothing mindset, kind of more towards like my paleo years, where I was looking at how expensive the Kerrygold butter was and the price of the regular butter, and I was like, if only there was something like in the middle where it was better, but it wasn't, the perfect
Yeah.
butter. And then I was like, well, if we just use the cheap butter half the time and the expensive butter half the time, that is in the middle. And I would be super happy with a median option here.
Yeah.
But you can do that if you just get some of the really good and some of the not so great. So that's kind of what we do with our meat as well, where we get our really good beef, that we buy a whole cow or a half a cow at a time that we know is, grass fed and really good. And then we get grocery store pork. I know that
Yeah.
that's not ideal, but it evens out to be like a moderate a moderate option. So
Yes.
that's another way that you can kind of think of it, where it's like you don't just have the two options of perfect and not perfect. You could get a little bit of the perfect and a little bit of the not perfect, and then you're right at a happy medium.
And I do think that that is something that we tend to, as humans, struggle with. We tend to think that if I know that eating this specific way has solved many issues for myself and I feel amazing and I'm learning about the biochemistry of it all and it seems to click and make sense, and then I truly am sold out for a specific way of eating, then everything in my life, every person that is in my life that I have control over what they can or cannot eat, have to fall in line with this one thing if I believe it to be true. And the reality is that that's not quite always accurate. So having a little bit of a flexible, like in this scenario, like these young children, they can handle many more things metabolically speaking. And if we're not eating, like all of the processed junk and they're still eating mostly whole foods, they're not going to die having a potato. They're not going to die if I use some really high quality flour and some butter and then some organic sugar to let them make cookies. Like they're not going to die.
Mhm.
Um, their bodies are not yet damaged the way that I was. So it's like, just because I believe it to be absolutely true for myself doesn't mean that I have to go in and make myself insane trying to force metabolically healthy children into my personal like way of thinking where I'm metabolically less than healthy kind of a
Right.
situation. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that all or nothing mentality. We're allowing that to commandeer, and I let that happen all the time. Like, oh, children can never have a prepackaged snack ever,
Mm.
and I must hand make everything, and then I do, and then we have life that happens, and then all of a sudden it's like prepackaged it is. We're not gonna die, and then you sit there and war with yourself. Like now I'm an absolute wretch because I did not stick to my guns of perfection or nothing, and that just it's a great way to stress yourself to death.
Yes. Well, one thing that I've let go of in my health journey, I guess, is and you've probably heard this many times on from YouTubers and on reels and stuff of with every bite that you take, you're either building your health or you're furthering disease. And so
And
and
or
I'm just
some
like,
variation of that. Yes.
yes. Yes,
Yes.
it's either poison or it's nutrition,
Perfection.
like, there is no in between,
Right.
and I don't believe that anymore, and so, that builds a lot of guilt into what you eat, and so if I choose to, uh, have some treat food on a birthday party, my kid's birthday or whatever, it's like there's so much guilt, like, I am feeding disease with every
Right.
bite, and it's just like,
Diabetes tastes
yeah,
good.
and yes, I believe that if I were to eat that food every day for all of my meals or to excess or, like the obviously there's ways in which that food can cause or contribute towards disease in my body, but to just have it that black and white, like, is this bite perfect or is it terrible? Like, no, that's not how
If it ain't
food
first,
works.
it's last. So if it ain't perfect, it's absolute death.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just like, no, I've totally let go of that. So like, when I'm talking about choosing the butter, I felt like at the time, like, I need to choose the perfect butter or I am choosing bad. Like, it's either you choose good or you choose bad, and I was like I had to be like, "No, I just, for myself personally, I don't believe that anymore, and if
Right.
I were at a place where my health was so bottom of the barrel that it was that severe for me,
Yeah.
that would be different. And, like, for my
Sure.
son, for example, 1 bite of egg for him is bad. Like, it
Yes.
is completely
And it
black and
doesn't
white.
matter if it's the best quality on the planet. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. So, obviously, there are situations in which you can say, "This food for me is bad." If you're allergic to peanuts, obviously, it's bad. Don't eat it. But for a lot of especially whole foods, uh, it's just like, let's not let's not moralize it like that. Let's not black and white it like that. And when I'm eating something that is not, grass-fed New Zealand cow liver, I'm doing something terrible for my body and feeding disease and I've let go of that. And I feel so much healthier for having done it.
For sure. For sure. And I think maybe that's sort of like our underlying kind of platform that we kind of have made a shift towards is that making the best decisions for your current situation
Mhm,
is best, and
mhm,
allowing yourself the freedom and flexibility and latitude to make choices that you would not have otherwise chosen
mhm,
is okay.
mhm,
It's okay for you to grow through things, for your life seasons to change, for your health needs to shift and adjust. It's okay also for you to heal and go back to eating some things that you may not have been able to eat at one point in time. There's a
mhm.
lot of flexibility and freedom in that. And having everything come back to the fact that food is for nourishment, but it's also huge for relationship.
Yeah.
And if you're not nurturing those relational aspects of things, then no matter how perfect your diet is, you're never going to be fully healthy.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just, we don't want to ever like say, if you're not eating this way, you're wrong. Because the reality is I have no clue. I have no clue that how you're eating is absolutely perfection for you. I also know for a fact the way that I actually eat compared to what I think I should eat, those two things are discongruous. They don't line up all the time.
Yeah.
And so then am I just like a complete hypocrite because I eat pepper jack cheese and pepperonis and pecans way more often than I think I should? you know,
Yeah.
it's just those things. Like we allow a lot of latitude and grace in this space, and there's no dogmatic you must do things any specific way unless it is believed the color green is the right color for favorite.
Well, obviously. I mean, come on. Let's be reasonable.
We have our limits, people.
Yeah. Well, and I totally get the, being diehard about certain things because it
Sure.
makes a lot of sense, initially, and for me, I had to go through the journey of doing all the things that were supposed to bring me perfect health. Like, I went down the journey with paleo and Weston A. Price, and
Oh
if you
gosh, I
get
loved
all
Weston A. Price.
yes, but if you just get all of the food perfect, then your health will be perfect. And I just kept checking things off, like, okay, I've done that. My health is still not perfect. Okay, I've done that. Oh, okay, my health is still not perfect. Okay, I've done that. My health is, and I was like, maybe that's not it. Like, not that
Right.
it's not a piece of it, but that's not it. And so I'm really diving into so many more aspects of health beyond just nutrition, um, and finding so much health there.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
at a time when I am loosening up on my nutrition more than I have in years, literally years.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like the struggle is you don't want it to become a green light to just go hog wild with all the crazy food we have available to us here in the US. Like that's obviously not what I want. And some people
Yeah.
that's immediately where their mind goes, where it's like, "Oh, you don't think carbs are poison? Then you must be eating Haagen-Dazs and going through the drive-through every single day. Why wouldn't you?" And you're like, "Well,
That's not really my style, but okay.
we can find a little bit of a happy medium here where we recognize that there are really unhealthy food-like products out there that do contribute to negative health outcomes, but we don't have to go so extreme to say that all these whole foods that people have been eating for hundreds and thousands of years are all of a sudden poison.
I agree. Yeah.
Like we got to be able to find some happy medium there. And so that's what I've found, and I have found that like my diet is great. Like it's good enough. Like it doesn't I don't have to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. I've done that. And it only got me as far as it got me. And now that I'm working on these other things like exercise and light and things like that, it's like, oh wow, there's this whole other side of health that
So the
or
word like,
all
does
these
that
other
mean
pieces of the
macro?
puzzle. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That I can add in here on top of the diet piece, that's already, good enough, and I can really start making progress towards some health goals. So there you go.
That's awesome. I really liked the phrase health outcomes. I feel
Mm.
like that kind of really emphasizes the fact that we are making little decisions because we want specific results rather than black and white. This is
Ooh,
healthy or this is unhealthy. I really liked that phrasing. So I wrote that down. Y'all,
nice.
every week I'm writing down notes. Okay.
I love that.
I am one of those people because my brain holds on to nothing. I wanted to highlight this really quickly. Andy said that she's learning that with her CGM, she figured out what affects the blood sugar negatively, helps her to see that all of our bodies react in different ways. And I think that is one of the biggest benefits to having something as specific as a CGM or something
Yes.
so detail oriented. You can really use those to your absolute benefit even if you just have one for 2 weeks, even if it winds up only lasting for 10 days, if you plan that time frame out well, you can really find a lot of information about your body specifically.
Yeah.
So I think that that is fantastic, Andy. Nice work. And then I liked Sophia's comment right
Mm.
here that it seems that all the keto people have relaxed a bit. And I tell you what, I am here for it. And Sophia says that she is here for it.
Mhm.
Yes, we are here for that because the dogmatic, absolute barking at the screen kind of thing, it's an additional layer of stress where people find lack of health or they find negative health outcomes, as Neely said, rather than having those things support their health outcomes. So I
Yes.
think we add stress unnecessarily, and oftentimes we get told stress is a major problem for our health, and we're adding to it on purpose, thinking that we're trying to correct our health. I just those two things seem like they're out of alignment.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I like the idea of, um, my goal is a health outcome, not a badge of 5 years keto or 10
Shut
years
up! Stop talking
carnivore.
about me. 9 years.
Like,
Shut up.
it's like I mean, and if that's what you want, like, because it's like, I think about exercise, like, if you want the title of I have run a marathon,
Marathon runner.
that's great, like, that's awesome, and that is an achievement, but if your goal is, uh, health, like, being physically fit, having run a marathon might actually be contradictory to that goal.
Yeah.
So just kind of having that in perspective. So if you are like, I want to see how long I can stay carnivore because I think being carnivore is awesome. Great. Like go for it and like have that be a badge of honor for you. That's totally fine. But being honest with yourself and recognizing that if your health is not where you want it to be, that maybe those goals are not the same thing. I think a lot of people think
Yeah.
that, the more I fast, the healthier I'll be. So if my goal is to fast a bunch, that's the same thing as having good health. Or my goal is to stay carnivore. That's the same thing as being healthy. So, but it's not always that way. It maybe
Yeah.
sometimes they align, definitely. A lot of times, especially when people are coming from like standard American diet, and they're like, my only goal is just to stay keto. That goal at that time can be perfectly aligned with getting healthier. Like they're
Sure.
both completely aligned. But that may not always be the case. And so just to always have those goals and be like, no, my goal is health. And if this is no longer serving that goal, then I shouldn't be holding on to it. It's kind of like if sprain your ankle while you're training for a marathon. It's like, well, I want to be physically fit. And I thought that, training for a marathon would get me there, which
Yeah.
for some people, it completely aligns. Is once you break your ankle or sprain your ankle or whatever, maybe those things are not in alignment anymore. And maybe in order to be physically fit and healthy, you're going to need to rest and get your ankle fixed before you do anything. So it's just like, let's be honest about what goals we have, and not conflate other things that may be really good things as the same thing as health.
I
There you go.
100% agree. It's kind of like the label of health doesn't actually equal health.
Mm,
Like those. Yeah. So I feel like you said it way more clearly than I did, but that just was kind of like what was racing through my head. But I
yeah,
tell you what, health outcomes, that is a phrase that I hope we hold on to rather than just like the black and white healthy versus unhealthy.
yeah.
That right there. That was a click. That was a click moment for me.
Mm, there you go.
Trademark Neely
All
right
right.
there.
And what more expensiver also is mine.
Also more expensiver. We're trying to be mindful of what we spend more expensiver monies on.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
we are running out of time
Yep.
and that saddens me, but also I know we are going to have another live chat next week,
Yeah,
our
we had
final one for
5.
January. That's right. And the we don't know exactly what the conversation will be about. We're going to carry on with our whole concept of affordability and health or in health
Mhm. Yep.
words.
Yep.
We're going to focus on words and stuff and things.
Mhm.
And then in February, we're going to shift gears. We haven't quite put a pin in what our concept will be for February, but if there are any additional things that you would like to add to the conversation of healthiness can be affordable, health outcomes can be affordable when we do XYZ,
Mm.
or this works well for me to make a healthy lifestyle affordable. We would love to hear your comments. We would love to hear your recommendations or your ideas. And join us next week to wrap this kind of conversation up as I drop my pen.
All right. Thanks, everybody.